In this video, we want to talk about temperature. Now, most of us living in the US are accustomed to the Fahrenheit degree scale, but the rest of the world mostly uses Celsius temperatures, even including across the border in Canada. So our goal here is to see how they're related and to be able to convert between one scale and the other. So let's start with the boiling temperature. You might recall that water is going to boil at 212 degrees Fahrenheit. The Celsius scale was developed so that that point would be called 100 degrees Celsius. Moving down our thermometers, we can find comfortable room temperatures and finally freezing for water. So 32 degrees Fahrenheit is where my water will freeze, but we made that 0 on the Celsius scale. So we have a nice 100-degree difference here between freezing and boiling on Celsius. In order to figure out how to convert between both of these, we would set up a system of equations and use some algebra to come up with that formula. I'm not going to do that in this video. We'll do that another time. We're just going to accept the formula that Fahrenheit is equal to 9/5 times C, the Celsius temperature, plus 32. And we can use that formula to convert between Celsius and Fahrenheit. So if I'm given the Celsius temperature is 5 degrees, I simply plug that into my formula and simplify it. Now you can use your calculator, or this is a pretty quick calculation here. The 5's cancel. We're left with 9. 9 plus 32 is going to give me 41 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, what if instead I wanted to convert from Fahrenheit to Celsius? I can still use this formula, it's just a little bit more involved. So this time what they've given me is the Fahrenheit degrees, so I have to put that over on the left and set it up like this. All right, so 350 is equal to 9/5 C plus 32. Now I'm solving a simple linear equation. You recall that means we're going to get the letter or variable by itself. We want to isolate that, so we'll subtract 32 from both sides. That leaves me with 318 equals 9/5 C. And then to get the C by itself, we would divide by 9/5. Now, dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. However, you could just use your calculator. I will point out that if you're going to use your calculator, you're going to need to put this denominator, that 9/5, in parentheses to get the correct answer. What if I don't want to have to solve an equation every time I want to convert between Fahrenheit and Celsius? Well, in that case, I would take my Fahrenheit formula here and solve the general formula for C. It's going to involve all the same steps that we just did, except our answer is going to have letters in it. So like before, we subtracted the 32 from both sides. I won't be able to combine the like terms on the left, so I just leave it F minus 32. Dividing by the 9/5 C on the right means I can multiply the left by the reciprocal 5/9. Now notice I did put parentheses because that has to be multiplied times the entire amount there. So that's going to lead me to my final simplified answer, which most of us are going to flip it around and put the C on the left. So C is equal to 5/9 times the quantity of F minus 32. All right, so pay attention, the formulas are a little different. When I'm converting from Celsius into Fahrenheit, I multiply that temperature by a fraction and then add something. But if I'm going to convert from Fahrenheit to Celsius, I first subtract something from my Fahrenheit temperature and then I multiply it by the fraction. Right, so the operations are a little bit different there. Let's see if you can figure this out. Go ahead and pause this for just a moment and see if you can use the two formulas there. Make sure you're using the one that makes it easiest to get the conversions here. All right, so what about this first one? If I have 28 degrees Fahrenheit and I want to know what it is in terms of Celsius, I want to use the formula that is solved for the Celsius, right? Because that means I'm just plugging in and simplifying. So for this one, I would get, plugging in my 28, I would subtract and I get a negative number. I don't ignore that sign, that's important. And that means my final answer here is negative 2.2 degrees. I'm going to ask myself if that sounds reasonable. Well, 28 degrees Fahrenheit is below freezing. And remember, freezing for Celsius is 0. So yes, getting a negative answer here is appropriate. It makes sense. Now for the other one, if I'm given the Celsius and I want to know what the Fahrenheit temperature is, I'm going to choose the formula that has the F by itself. And just like before, you plug it in, you simplify your expression here and get 36 plus 32 and a final answer of 68 degrees. All right, one last thing. I want to mention another scale for temperature. It's called the Kelvin scale. There is something called absolute zero. And so if you're in science classes, that's a bigger deal. For us, we're really not going to use that, but I did want to show you where it is or what it is, right? So we have Fahrenheit here on the right, and then we have Celsius in the middle, and Kelvin, the 0 degrees Kelvin, is actually absolute zero. It's really simple to go between Kelvin and Celsius. It's just a difference of 273.15 degrees. So to go from Fahrenheit to Kelvin, you'd first change it to Celsius and then add or subtract your 273. Let me know if you have any questions.